Okay, we're going to talk about installing banjo spikes today and some of the things that you need. I use a Dremel tool because I'm using a 1/32 inch drill bit, which I have to order special. You can't get this from a hardware store. And then you've got needle nose pliers that have teeth on them. You're going to need a flat bladed screwdriver. And then you're also going to need your spikes. And these are just model railroad spikes, but you can get them from several different companies that sell musical instrument parts. And then you're going to also probably want to have some super glue. So the first thing that we're going to do is you want to look and see where the 5th string is going to lie on this fingerboard, because you want to get your spike underneath that string. So basically I'm looking the distance from the edge of the fingerboard to where that string is, because that's where I'm going to drill my hole. Now most spikes are done at A, B, and C, so that's going to be the 7th fret, the 9th fret, and the 10th fret. You want to make sure that you don't drill any holes into any inlays. And you want to be about halfway or a little bit closer towards the bridge in this area here when you drill your hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen my 5th string. And you can leave it on there. I usually just kind of take it off the bridge and off the side so that it's not in my way. Put your drill bit in so that it doesn't stick out too far, because you don't want to accidentally drill all the way through the neck. And the drill bits are long enough you can actually do that. So you want to make sure that you've got it in the drill far enough that you can't do that. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill my hole here, and I'm going to do 3 of them. So I'm going to do it at A, B, and C. And I use my hands and my fingers to help steady this. I go up and down just a little bit. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spikes, and I drill my holes a little bit at an angle this way. And so what I usually do is I usually bend the spike tip a little bit. I take it in my needle nose pliers, and then I push down a little bit and just bend it just a little bit. And then I'm going to hold it, and you want to hold at least half of the spike. If you don't get at least half of the spike, it's going to bend when you try to put it in the hole. And you put it in the hole, and then you just keep pressing down. And when I get about like that, I'm not going to press any further, because the needle nose pliers can actually make big dents in the fingerboard. It won't hurt anything, but just cosmetically it doesn't always look so nice. So I'll do that one. And sometimes if you're having a really hard time getting these in, then you want to put your drill bit back in the hole and just move it up and down a little bit, which is why I was doing that. Some of the different manufacturers, some of the spikes are thicker than others. And so it depends on which spikes you get as to how easily they go in. You don't want them to go in too easily though, because then they're going to pull out when you put the string underneath. So I do this with all 3 of my spikes. And if you bend a spike when you're doing this, just pull it out and use another one. Don't try to use one that's bent. And always make sure you have extra spikes, so if that happens, you know, you're able to do that. Now this is where my screwdriver comes into hand. I'm going to use that to push the spike down, but I don't want to push it all the way down to the fingerboard, because the string has to go underneath it. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And if I get it too close, I can use we've got some icing spreaders that you can get from like Wilton Cake Company, but you're better off if you get a really old one that's really thin. You can put that underneath the spike to get it back up again if you get it, if when you're pushing it down you accidentally push it all the way against the fingerboard. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this 5th string back in there, tune it up. And now I'm going to put the spike, put the string under the spike. And by the way, the opening for your spikes is on this end. So it seems like if you picked really hard, you'd pick the string out of there, but it won't pick out of there. And what I'm going to do is I'm kind of looking here to make sure that I have a good distance between my spike and the string, because since my string is over the top of the spike, if there's not enough of a gap there, then what's going to happen is the string is going to buzz on the spike. So the trick to installing the spikes is it has to be low enough that the string doesn't buzz on it, but high enough you can get the string underneath it. So this one is underneath, and I'm not getting any buzzing, so I'll try the next one. And I'm fine there. And I try the next one. And I'm good because it's not hard, it's not too hard to get the string under the spikes, and I'm not buzzing on any spike. So I take them out, and the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and loosen my string again. And this is where your super glue comes in handy. Because these are spikes and not screws, they can come out over time, and if they do, you can just push them back in and use some more super glue. And all I'm going to do is just put a very tiny, tiny drop of super glue on the back end here. And that's just going to kind of help keep that from coming up again. And that actually, a bunch came out that time, more than I wanted. So what I'm going to do is just get like a paper towel, and you have to block kind of fast because you don't want your paper towel sticking to the super glue. And I'm just going to kind of blot out the extra, and then I'm going to make sure run the edge of the paper towel under there so that I don't actually super glue the spike to the top. That way I know my string can go under there. And then what you can do is you can use some really, really fine steel wool, like quadruple aught, which is the 4 zeros. And you can use that with some olive oil if you want, just regular old olive oil. And you can run that along here, and that way you don't see like where the super glue is, but that's going to wear off anyway. It's no big deal. But you can do that. Also, it helps if you get little scratches or something on there. The steel wool will also help buff that out. And as long as you're using it on the top and not where your finish is at, it should be fine. And then your spikes are ready to go. You can use them right away.